Alright guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary people. This video is an update for the one we published some 3 years ago. There are some changes that have been introduced since then, but overall the publishing process is the same. So in this video we will show you how to create a developer account, set up your app listing, build your mobile game in Unity, and submit it for review. We will also pay a little more attention to details that we didn't cover last time, such as data collection, uploading builds that exceed 200 megabytes, target API level, and more. So let's get to work, shall we? Alright, so first of all, we go to Google Play Console and sign in. You can use any email account for that, but I recommend creating a separate one for publishing, which you can do right here if you press this Create Account button. Alright, so we sign in, and we might get asked to enable two-step verification. So let's do that. And when we're done, we go back to Play Console and log in. Here you can choose whether you want to register as an organization or as an individual. I'm going to go with individual here to keep things simple. Then we go through a barrage of questions, agree to the terms, hit create account and pay $25 for developer registration. It's a one-time thing, so it's not a big deal, relatively speaking of course. Now I already have a developer account, meaning I don't need to create a new one. I just wanted to show you the process. So here's the homepage of my developer account, and it should look pretty much the same for you, except you're not going to have any apps here if you just created a new account. So first things first, we're going to create a new app by pressing this Create App button. Here we specify the app name that will be displayed in Play Market. I'm not going to publish for real, so I'm going to use a random name here. Here, we specify whether we're publishing an app or a game, and whether it's free or paid. But if you're publishing a paid app, you will need to provide some extra information. I personally have never published a paid app, so I don't know much about it. Now we agree to the terms and hit Create App. And we get to the dashboard page, where we're going to start off by setting up our app. So we click this View Tasks to see a list of things we need to do, so let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. First off, privacy policy, where we need to provide a URL to our privacy policy. And honestly, there's something sadistic in this, like I would give up right here since I hate boilerplate paperwork. Anyways, it's actually easier than you might think. There are online privacy policy generators that you could use, and you can publish your privacy policy for free using Google Sites. I'm not going to cover the process here because although boilerplate, it's still a legal document, and I'm not in a position to give legal advice. But I will link the privacy policy for our game in the video description, and you can use it as a reference if you wish. Alright, so once you have your privacy policy published online, you provide the link here, hit save, and go back to the dashboard page to see the privacy policy task crossed out. So we're moving on to the app access task, where we need to indicate whether all features of our game are accessible without restrictions or not. You can see examples of access restrictions here. For the app I'm publishing here, there are no restrictions, so I choose the first option and hit save. And back to dashboard. Next, ads. My game is using Unity ads, so I choose yes here. To get content ratings, we need to complete a questionnaire. Please note that even if your app doesn't have any of these types of content, you might have to choose yes if, for example, you're using ads that might contain some of these. But you can do that during your app review process if they point it out. So we hit save, then next, to get our ratings for various countries. For target audience, the simplest option is 18+. If you choose an age group below 18 though, you will have to make sure your app meets additional compliance requirements. Next, if you indicate that your app is 18+ here, you need to indicate whether it might be appealing to those under 18. And if you choose yes, your app listing may get a Not Designed for Children label. Next here, we indicate whether our app is a news app. And here's another annoying part of the publishing process, data safety. Now, if your app does not collect user data, you don't need to do much here, but what's important to keep in mind here is that while you as a developer might not collect any data, some APIs that you're using in your app might do that. For example, Unity Analytics or Unity Ads. So what you need to do is you need to find what data, if any, the APIs that you're using in your app collect. In our game, we use Unity Ads, and here you can see what kind of data Unity collects. And if you use Unity Ads as well, you might want to stick around. Alright, since our game does collect data, I choose yes here. Next, here it says that all data is encrypted, so I choose yes here. Next, my app does not allow users to create an account, so I choose this option here. Here, Unity says that users can request their data to be deleted, so we choose yes here. And now we need to provide a link where users can make such a request. According to Unity's privacy policy, users can request that their personal information be deleted via email. So we can provide a link to this page. You can find it in the video description. If you're using multiple third-party modules that collect user data, you might want to list them in your privacy policy and provide a link to it here instead. And we hit Next. Here, we need to indicate what kind of user data we collect. According to Unity, Unity Ads does collect the approximate location. User IDs, purchase history, no health info, no messages, no photos and videos, no audio files, no files and docs, no calendar data, no contacts. But they do collect data on page views and tabs, as well as other app activity data. So we check app interactions and other actions. Next, we skip the web browsing section and check diagnostics here. And device or other IDs here. And now for each item we selected, we need to provide additional info. So for user IDs, the data is both collected and shared. It is not processed ephemerally. It is required. And it's used for app functionality. For purchase history, the data is both collected and shared. It is not processed ephemerally. It is not required. And it is used for advertising and analytics purposes. For approximate location, the top part is the same except this type of data is required. And it's used for advertising, analytics, app functionality, and security. Diagnostics data is used for app functionality and analytics. App interactions data is used for advertising, analytics, and security. Same for the other activity data. And for device IDs, we select app functionality, analytics, advertising, and security. Then we hit Next, Save, and we're done with this excruciating part. What we have left to do is rather harmless. So here we indicate whether our app is a government app. Here, we list all financial features available in our app, which in my case is none. And here we list all health-related features of our app, which for me is also none. Next, Store Settings. Here we click Edit and specify the category for our app, which for me would be Sports, since I'm publishing an 8-ball pool game. Here, we provide contact info, and we can keep this checkbox on unless you do not want your app to be advertised outside Google Play. And now we need to set up the store listing for the app. Here, in addition to app name that we specified earlier, we need to provide a short and a full description. Here's what we entered for the actual listing. And since this is just a demo for me, I'm going to type in something random. Next, we need to provide the app icon that will be displayed in the Play Market. Make sure the file meets these requirements though. Here we need to provide a feature graphic, which will be used for these purposes. Next, you need to provide at least 2 screenshots of your game for the store listing. The tricky thing here is that the screenshots must have a 16:9 or 9:16 aspect ratio. Since most modern mobile devices have a different aspect ratio, you might not be able to just upload screenshots taken on your device. What you can do is you can take the screenshots directly in Unity. If you don't know how, you can check out a separate video on this channel. Once you got your screenshots, you can reuse them for the tablet section if you wish. And optionally, you can provide Chromebook screenshots as well. Alright, so when we're done with screenshots, we hit save. And now we can move on to uploading the app, but before we do that, we first need to build our app, so let's switch to Unity to do that. So in Unity, we open the project that we want to publish, then go File, Build Settings. Here, make sure you have the scenes that you want to be included in the build. Next, make sure you have this Unity icon next to Android. If that's not the case for you, select Android here, and hit the Switch Platform button. And when the switching is complete and you can see the Unity icon next to Android, go to Player Settings. Here you need to provide your developer name, can be pretty much anything except this default company. Here you can change the name of the app that by default matches the name of the Unity project. And here you can specify the version. If this is the first time you publish your app, you can leave it at the default 1.0. Next, we need to set the app icon that will be displayed on the mobile device when you install your app. And generally speaking, it should be the same icon you use in the Play Store listing that we set up earlier. Make sure you have the icon in the Unity project though. When you are done with that, open the Other Settings section and scroll to the Identification section. Now here, you can see your bundle version code. What's important to note here is that you can upload multiple builds of the same version as long as they have unique bundle version codes, meaning if you uploaded a build with bundle version 1 and then you decided to make some changes and rebuild your project, you need to change the bundle version. Otherwise, you won't be able to upload your new build to Google Play. To make sure the bundle version code is unique, you can just increment it by 1 every time you re-upload your build. Next, we need to specify our target API level. If you open the drop-down list, you will see all available options. Now, you don't have to target the latest one, which for me is level 35, but you do need to make sure your target level meets the requirements. If you Google Play Target API, you will see that starting from August 31st, 2023, all new apps must target level 33 or higher. And these requirements get updated every year, so make sure you choose an appropriate API level when building your project in Unity. Alright, so I'm going to set my target API to 33. Next, we need to change the scripting backend from Mono to IL to CPP, which enables this ARM64 checkbox that we need to check. And we're done here. So we're scrolling down to the publishing settings. Here we need to sign our app by choosing a key store and a key. But before we do that, here's a bit of an FYI. Any Android app that you want to publish must be digitally signed, and it must be signed twice, as you can see on this documentation page. The upload key is used to verify the developer, meaning you, and its purpose is to sort of protect your app on the way from your computer to Google Play server. The sign-in key, on the other hand, is used to protect the app on the way from the Google Play server to the end user. Now, both the upload and sign-in keys must be kept secret, which is ultimately your responsibility as a developer. To make things a bit easier, we can let Google handle the sign-in key, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. However, we still need an upload key. Now, if this is the first time you publish your app, you will need to create an upload key for your app first. And we can do that directly in Unity, so let's get right to it. First of all, we need to create a key store. A key store is simply put a file that can store multiple keys, hence the name key store. To create a key store, we click this Key Store Manager button. Here, we open this Key Store dropdown choose Create New, and choose to store it anywhere. Now here you need to specify the location on your computer where the key store file will be saved. At this point, it doesn't really matter where you save it since you can move it later. So we name our key store and hit save. Now we need to set a password for the key store and create a new key. Again, this part is for the key store that can contain multiple keys, while this part is for creating the key itself. So we need to name our key and set a password. You can set different passwords for the key store and the key if you wish, but make sure you don't mix them up. And now we click Add Key. Unity will ask if you want to use this newly created key for this project, and we hit Yes. Now before we continue, here's the path to the key store that you just created. This path is relative to your Unity project folder, meaning for me, the key store is in the folder named Android, and the folder named Android is in the folder named Builds, and the Builds folder is in my Unity project folder. So if I open this Android folder, I will see my key store file. Now you will need to use this key store every time you build this app in order to upload it to Google Play, meaning whenever you want to update your app. If you lose this file, you can ask Google to reset your upload key, but that would be extra work. So bottom line, make sure to keep this file safe and secure. Alright, so now we enter the key store password here. Select the key that we want to use, and enter the password for the key itself. Next, we check this box to have Unity generate an extra file that we will upload to Google Play together with the app. Now, Google Play does not accept builds that exceed 200 megabytes. If that's your case, you need to check the Split Application binary. Now I'm using Unity version 2022. In older versions, this checkbox might be grayed out, and if that's the case for you, hold on a bit. So now we close this window, and we get back to the Build Settings window, where we need to check this Build App Bundle box. Now if this box is already checked for you, it might be the reason why the Split Application binary checkbox is grayed out if you're using an older version of the Unity editor. So you can uncheck this box, go back to Player Settings, check the Split Application binary checkbox, then come back to Build Settings, and check this Build App Bundle checkbox again. Next, we open this dropdown and choose Public, which will make Unity generate another file that we will upload to Google Play. In older versions of Unity, you will see a checkbox instead of this dropdown. And finally, we hit Build. Select the location for the build. I'm using the same folder that contains my key store file. Then we hit Save, and wait with fingers crossed, because sometimes the project just won't build, which I will talk about in a bit. Now if your build exceeds 200 megabytes, you will see a pop-up like this one. But you don't need to worry about it if you did check the Split Application binary checkbox, so you just click Cancel. And when your project is successfully built, Unity will open the folder that contains the resulting files. So we have a .aab file, which is the build itself. We have a mapping file, which is used for debugging purposes, and a symbols file, which is essentially used for the same purpose but has a somewhat different target. Anyways, what's important here is that we will need to upload these 3 files to Play Console, which we're gonna do in a bit. But before that, if your build failed, you can try some of the following steps. Restart Unity, and no, I'm not kidding, I wish I were. If that doesn't help, try restarting your computer. If that doesn't help, try building for a different API level. For example, if you tried building for level 34, you can try 33 or 35. And if that doesn't help, try building in a different version of the Unity editor, but do make sure to test your project in that new version before you build it. Alright, I hope your project has been built successfully and you're now ready to upload it. So we go back to Google Play Console and navigate to this production page, where we click this Create New Release button. Now here we can see a message saying that we need a signing key. Remember, we need 2 keys, an upload key that we generated in Unity and a signing key that we do not have yet. And we have 2 options. We can generate a signing key and upload it here, or we can have Google handle the signing key for us, and that's what we're going to do. To do that, we hit this Choose Signing Key button and click this Use Google Generated Key to see this green check mark saying that now our app releases are signed by Google Play. But again, this does not replace the upload key that we generated in Unity, so make sure to store that one somewhere safe and secure. And now we pull up the folder that contains our build and drag the .aab file here. Now some of you might have noticed that my file exceeds 200 megabytes, and I will talk about that in a bit. So when the uploading is complete, you will see your build here. And if you click this blue arrow and open this Delivery tab, you will see that my build consists of 2 modules, The first one is 43 megabytes, and the other one is 435 megabytes. So even though my build file exceeds 200 megabytes, since I checked that split application binary box, you need to split my build into two parts: the code of my app and the assets such as images or audio or video. And the 200 megabyte limit is only applicable to the code part, which is marked as base here. Alright, we still have some stuff to do. Specifically, we need to upload the other two files that Unity generated for us. To do that, we click this three-dot button and choose the first item, Upload Retrace Mapping File, and drag this mapping file here. Next, we upload the native debug symbols file. This one. Please note that older versions of Unity did not generate the symbols file correctly, so if your symbols file won't upload, you might want to refer to the previous version of this video for a solution. The link is in the description. Alright, what's left to do here is the release name that is only used for internal purposes, so you can leave it at its default, and release notes that are shown to users on Play Market, so you might want to write something meaningful here. And when you're done, you hit Next to see an error and a warning. The error says that we did not specify the geography for our app, and the warning says, I'm using an outdated library. Depending on your project, you might see other warnings or errors that might have various reasons. Anyways, I'm going to fix the error by going back to the production page. Here I switch to the country/regions tab, click this Add button, and select All here. Of course, feel free to restrict your app if you wish. Now we hit Save, switch to Releases tab, and click Edit Release here to see the error gone. I still have a warning though, but I'm not going to do anything about it since A, I'm not publishing this game, and B, you might not even have it. Also, warnings normally allow you to publish your app anyways. Alright, so we hit Save here to see that our app is now ready to be sent for review. So we hit Go to Overview to see another issue that needs to be fixed. This one is related to the so-called advertising ID, so let's fix it by clicking this complete declaration. Now I know that my project is not using Google's advertising ID, so I'm gonna go with no here, but do make sure you choose whichever is appropriate for your specific app. Then we hit Save, go back to Publishing Overview to see no issues, which means we now can send our app for review by clicking this button, which I'm not gonna do since I'm not publishing this app. Now, once you've submitted your app, it's going to take some time for Google to review it, and they might ask you to fix something before they approve your app. For example, when we published our game for the first time, we got rejected because our app listing contained informal language, a smiley. We also had an issue with content ratings. We reported that our app is not related to gambling, but then Google got back to us with a screenshot of a gambling-related ad banner, so we had to resubmit the content ratings questionnaire. Bottom line, the best way to know what's wrong with your app is submit it for review and wait for feedback. So make sure to check Play Console regularly until you get your app approved. Also, what you might want to do here is turn on Manage Publishing. By default, it's off, which means that your app will go live as soon as it gets approved. And if you turn it on, you will be able to decide when to publish your app instead. And this is pretty much it. Now, if you're curious about the game that I'm using as an example in this video, you can download it from Apple's App Store or Google's Play Market. The links are in the video description. We made this game as a part of a game-making video course that you can find on Udemy. The link is also in the description. And this is it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye.